about this Mike Pence thing, because this is absurd. This is the way, they make it say, first of all, if he were a Muslim doing it, nobody would say a word. If he were an Amish doing it, nobody would say a word. The fact that he's a Christian who wants to protect his marriage, he called it a zone of protection around his marriage, this is a big deal. First of all, I think, why is it anybody's business the way the guy runs his marriage and keeps himself safe? And second of all, why do we have to ignore the fact that men, especially powerful men, get a lot of opportunities? Powerful men get a lot of opportunities, A, and B, men are susceptible to seduction, kind of like water is susceptible to running downhill. So all he's doing is acknowledging the truth of this. And what the point I want to make today, the thing I want to talk about today, is how radical the left is and how much the press and the narrative tries to teach us that radical, destructive idea they have of what people are like, what men and women are like, what Supreme Court justices are like, and what they should do, how radical it is, and how everything they do is meant to convince us that this is the norm. It should be normal for a man. Why does he have to be this, jihadi Christian who won't even sit down with a woman? Well, he's just acknowledging the truth about the way men are and the way women are and the way things go. Why is that so difficult? Why do we have to all lie to make the left feel better? And it's always the same argument. Well, it's not fair. It's not fair that a guy can go out with Mike Pence and sit around and have a couple of drinks with him and kind of, solidify his relationship with the boss, but a woman can't do that. It's not fair. It's true. It's not fair. But on the other hand, it's not fair when you have guys like Bill Clinton sleeping with every woman in sight and using their power to intimidate people and possibly rape people. That seems a lot less fair to me. And it seems unfair to women that these poor political wives constantly have to stand there with that stupid smile on their face, standing by their men while their men cheat on them every other day. So Mike Pence is doing a decent thing. He's ensuring that he does the decent thing. Why is that so difficult? There was an article in the New York Times that it actually bowled me over that it was in the, not what was in it, but the fact that it was in the New York Times, about the fact that the young people hold more traditional views, like young millennials hold more traditional views about what a good marriage looks like than older people, than people in that generation that got sideswiped by feminism and talked into this idea that men and women were the same and everything should be the same and everything should be egalitarian. Now, because it's in the Times, they use the term egalitarian, but you just have to override that for a minute and listen to what is actually being said. The proportion of young people holding egalitarian views about gender relationships, pardon me, rose steadily from 1977 to the mid-1990s, but has fallen since. In 1994, only 42% of high school seniors agreed that the best family was one where the man was the main income earner and the woman took care of the home. In 2014, 58% of seniors said they preferred that arrangement. That is a big jump. That's 16%. In 1994, fewer than 30% of high school seniors thought the husband should make all the important decisions in the family. By 2014, nearly 40% subscribed to that premise. In 1994, 83% of young men rejected the superiority of the male breadwinner family. By 2014, that had fallen to 55%. In other words, nature thrown out the door comes back in through the window. This is, they batter these young men and these young women with this false view of what makes people happy and what works in a family. I mean, listen, I don't mean to be shallow, but look at women. They're made for doing a certain thing. They were created for doing a certain thing, and it's fulfilling to do that thing. It doesn't mean there can't be other things in a woman's life. It doesn't mean there's not a point after you raise children where you can't go off and do other things. But it's not in men's nature to do that stuff, and it is in men's nature to protect and to provide. And so it's just they're selling us this radical stuff, and then when you say that's radical and it's destructive and it makes people unhappy and it makes children unhappy, and then they tell you that you're the bad guy, that there's something terribly, terribly wrong with you. And this is something that is standard in all cultures. Every single culture has a division between women's work and men's work. And women have always worked. They've always worked really hard. They just do different work. And so when somebody says, well, why aren't there more women in, the sciences? And why aren't there more women in math? It's like every single culture for all of time has had this division. They are the radical ones. We're going to have to break and leave Facebook and YouTube. And then when we come back, we will have the all-powerful troll Michael Knowles. At this point, I just feel it's a privilege that this guy has come out from under the bridge where he's getting the Billy Goat's gruff to come over and join our show. And he has news, too. He brings insane news. Oh, he always brings insane news. But first we have to talk about Stamps.com.